We have Diana Lynn from Memorial Sloan Kettering. She's going to talk to us about inter-observer agreement among multiple generalists or specialists are comparable to that of recognized experts. Prospective acceptability benchmarks for head and neck from the C3RO crowdsourced initiative.
All right, thanks so much for having me. I just want to make, perfect. So what is C3RO? Some of you guys might remember my talk at last year's ROECSG presentation, but if you don't, C3RO stands for Contouring Collaborative Consensus in Radiation Oncology. It's a public crowdsourced challenge that engages radiation oncologists around the world with various expertise in cloud-based contouring. And participants are encouraged to contour a new case every 1 to 2 months. And at the end of each case, they'll be entered to win gift cards, have access to expert contours, and video podcasts that are posted on YouTube. But if you contour, you can attend live and ask some questions in the podcasts. And the registration and YouTube channels are linked here as well. And to date, we have actually completed 4 cases, and these are the breast, sarcoma, head and neck, and GYN cases. And we're starting the GI case this month. And now the number one goal of this challenge really is to test its feasibility, which was predefined as 30 or more contours per case. And so I'm really glad to share that we've been successful. We've had 132, 65, 81, and 49 participants for our first 4 cases, respectively. And so far, C3RO has had registrants from over 90 countries. And when comparing, the total registrants characteristics, which we have currently 948, to those who contoured any single case, which we have about 201, there were very little differences based on gender, race, ethnicity, years of experience, practice type, and even geographic setting. About 20% of participants were from the United States. And the second aim of C3RO is actually the main focus of this presentation. This is because a significant challenge in the development of AI has been this lack of multi-expert observer data set that's large enough to train deep learning models. And this is particularly true for head and neck cases, which have high inter-observer contour variability. As such, we really wanted to evaluate whether collective contours generated from large numbers of non-experts could meet or even exceed expert inter-observer agreement. So to do this, participants who contoured at least one structure or region of interest, or ROI, we're calling it here, for each challenge were categorized as non-experts or recognized experts. And recognized experts were identified by our C3RO team based on participation in the development of national guidelines or any other extensive scholarly activities. They're board-certified physicians with expertise in the specific disease site. And here you can actually see merged contours from 5 random non-experts compared to 5 random experts for the left parotid. And these are the multi-observer contours that then are used to calculate the staples for each respective group, which were then compared using dissimilarity scores. So to really put it all into context, I'm going to kind of focus on the left parotid for our analysis for the slide. And, the first question we're really trying to answer is, can consensus contours from multiple non-experts meet or exceed expert-derived acceptability thresholds? So if we look at this bar chart here for the left parotid, we're comparing the dice of our non-expert staples to that of our experts. And as you can see, this is higher than this dotted line here that's labeled expert IOV. And this dotted line actually represents, the expert inter-observer dice, which is like the expert acceptability threshold or gold standard. And so by, kind of this analysis, then, the answer to this question is yes. And then the second question really is, if yes, then how many non-experts would it take? And for the left parotid, if we take a look here, you can see about, it only takes about 5 or so, non-experts to cross this expert IOV line. So then the answer to this question would be 5 for the left parotid. And we basically did this for all 11 structures for our head and neck case that we asked folks to contour. And you can see that for most of these structures, the blue bars are higher than their respective expert IOVs, which are, represented by these dotted red lines. And you may actually note that, the CTV1 for non-experts did not perform as well. And, this really might reflect the variation in judging the tumor and its spread. But then there is higher, there's higher agreement for CTV2 among non-experts, as in, it might be because, they're more bound, anatomically defined elective nodal structures. And then similarly, for these curves on the right, you can see that for a lot of these structures, it only took about 2 to 5 non-expert contours to cross this expert-derived acceptability threshold for these structures. So in summary, what can we say? Well, the first point is that this crowdsourced contouring challenge has been really feasible. And then consensus contours for multiple non-experts have really met or exceeded expert-derived acceptability thresholds. And analysis suggests that 5 or more non-experts could potentially generate consensus ROIs with DICE similarity performance scores approximating an individual expert for head and neck, which really helps suggest that multiple non-expert contours could be a feasible AI input. And future directions include exploring whether these observations are site-specific and generalizable to more granular surface metrics, such as the newer added path length. We actually have a review in the Green Journal that takes a deeper dive into a lot of these quantitative metrics. And then finally, findings from for our additional disease sites will be presented hopefully at ASTRO 2022 this year. And then with that, I'd like to thank Dr. Full and Dr. Gillespie and our entire team for their support in kind of moving this whole project forward. So with that, I'll be happy to take any questions that you might have. Thank you.